Death be not proud.
Listen up, you ignorant pigs. Put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs. Let Holy Diver holler at you about Warlord Hoplites. I'm going to go over how I assembled these guys, what you get in the kit. You get 40 Hoplites for $35. Now, you can find these on eBay. A lot of stores have these, and they're usually clearanced out at $25. These guys, really great kit. One advantage you do get is the transfer sheets. But I've already decided that the only ones who are going to get any kinds of transfers at all are going to be the actual Spartiates themselves. When a lot of people think of hoplites, first thing they think of is the Corinthian helmet. That is exactly true to life. They use those all the way up until you got to like the time of Alexander, which they would still be used, except for they had better versions that would come down and protect the neck. Not to mention, they would also have the cap that had the thing up there, and that thing, I don't know what that's called. There's a cap and it has a protrusion. That protrusion actually has a purpose. If somebody comes down on you with a sword and they're on top of a horseback, that thing's actually going to deflect the blow away from your face, because the whole point of being a cavalryman when you ride by somebody really quick is to flick them in the face. It's not Hollywood where you bear down on them with the sword. It's to flick them in the face real quick, or get your spear into them, or pitch a javelin at them. But that protrusion that some of the caps had, that the Macedonians had, that actually had a purpose. So that would actually carry down to a lot of helmet designs where you'd have the conical top. Even some of the wide-brimmed bassinets in the Middle Ages had those and everything. But when you think hoplites, first thing everybody thinks of is the Spartan. When you think of Spartan, you're going to think of the bronze cuirass, the crimson cape. That's actually true to life. That's what Herodotus describes them wearing at Thermopylae, and that's what they continue to wear, at least according to Thucydides in the Peloponnesian War and everything. These are a core of guys, 8,000 to 10,000 strong, from the time of like Thermopylae down to the Peloponnesian War, that had some of the best equipment. Sparta was actually known for their military exports. Merchants would come up from Sparta, they'd drop off the goods. The Corinthians would then take all the goods. I don't know how the money was exchanged, because money was outlawed in Sparta, but I don't know what that meant for the perioikoi. We don't know. So basically these guys would go all over the islands, they would go all over the Aegean and trade the Spartan wares. One of the big exports that they had was the Laconian drinking flask, and it had kind of an ash filter. I don't know how they made it, but you could you could fill it up with river water, and because of the filter, probably weren't going to get sick. But you think about the crimson, you think about the bronze, you also think Corinthian helmets. The Corinthian helmet that I like, they did away with very quickly because it didn't have ear slots, and you needed to be able to hear, which wasn't a big deal for the Spartans themselves, simply because they moved according to what was drilled and played on the Salpinix. So this is the second unit in my Corinthian division, so all of my Corinthians are done, but you're also going to take a look at some of my firstborn children, the Spartans. That I started this project with only 24 Spartans. Then I upped it to 40, so you're going to get a look at those and what the unit looks like. And then I've got 17 of my last unit done, so this army's coming together really good for me. So we'll take a look at everything and we'll be back.
So these two heads are the nasty little culprit here. As you can see, they got a little bit of facial hair sitting out from them. You really want to avoid this head variant on account of it. There's just no detail whatsoever. Oh, I don't know how well you can see that. That's why I got it up against this kind of a background. You don't have a, hold on. You don't have a lot of detail in that face at all, so it's very easy to clog it up. So I would just stay away from this head variant altogether, and that's one of the disadvantages to the true 28mm that Warlord uses. But other than that, you do have a lot of really good advantages from the Warlord kit. Let's go over those. So here are the advantages. The arms on these guys are very much exaggerated features. The hands are pretty large, so if I have to break off the spear and repair it with a drill, I can put one of these metal pieces in really quickly, and it would probably be less than a 5-minute repair. So The arms on these are an advantage. The disadvantage is that you have to clean a lot of flash points off the spear itself, and they're very flexible, so you have to watch out there. But they are far superior to the spears in the Victrix kit. But again, the Victrix are a 28mm heroic scale, so the faces are exaggerated. You have a little bit more detail and flexibility with the Victrix. Here we are with Warlord Games variant of the Hoplite Warriors. This is classical Greek phalanx, and then there's another one that has 42. And basically, this is what your sprues look like. You get 8 per sprue. This, and you get 2 guys on each sprue that do not wear the classical linen cuirass, and then you have like 6 of these, and you get 1 guy who is just still in no armor, and then 1 guy who is in bronze armor. On each sprue, you get 1 guy who is in bronze armor. So, and then next you also get some metal shields, and we'll go to the sub-assembly line and show you how they're built, how I'm going to paint them. And these guys are true 28mm figures. They are not heroic, so their faces are not exaggerated, but I'll tell you which heads to avoid and what to do. And another acquisition that I got, just in case spears break, for the Victrix versions, are these awesome javelins and lances from Fire. So what you're looking for are 24 javelins. Those are about the same size as the Dory spear. They just don't have the butt spike again. And then you also have the spears. These ones are basically going to be your pikes. They'll be a little shorter, but these are very solid plastics. They're very good, very easy to get off the sprue and everything, and I highly recommend them. Go and buy some Fireforge miniature stuff because they're having financial trouble right now. Help them out. They make good miniatures. And with that, we're going to go over to the sub-assemble line and the sub-assemble paint line. So here we are on the sub-assemble line for the hoplites and everything. I have these 8 over here. They are going to get the white primer, and these ones right here are going to get the black primer, and they're going to be put on Pepsi caps. So I can sit down and I can paint 2 of these in about an hour, of the ones that get the black primer, because they're going to be wearing either red or white cloaks or something like that. And that's pretty good value. If I can do 2 miniatures in an hour, that's really good. I can sit down and do 1 of these inside of 1 sprue of 3 inside of an hour and 30 minutes. Again, I can do 2 an hour, which is really good. So I've already got 15 of these guys done, which is really nice. So that's the advantage to Warlord, is that they're a true 28mm heroic, less to paint, less to worry about. And there's some tricks that you need to know to painting them. And next down here you got the spear, the shields, of course. These will just get spray painted black. Then they'll be painted brown, then they'll be painted with Retributor, and I'll do some leather around the ropes on the parts that you can see. As for basing, I've got some that are going to get based like that, and some that are going to end up on that, and that's how they're going to be done. And when I'm painting them, I'll show you, I'll walk you through it a little. So here we are on the sub-assembled paint line. As you can see, the ones that are going to just be more earth tone, we're already dry brush brown with our trusty friend Scorch Brown, and then the ones that were done up white that are still on the sprue, they've been washed first with Reikland Flesh Shade, and that's a really good color. That's where you want, especially for some of these. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here for these helmets and everything. Wash the face. And that's about as much detail on some of these helmets and the faces that you're gonna get for the hoplites here. And then you can also, here's some of the ones that are painted right here. I got some of the Victrix ones still in back, but they go in pretty well. Their shields are slightly larger, but they fit in pretty well. They rank up pretty nicely, and there's nothing wrong with these at all. So as you can see, the shields were painted brown. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the armor, then I'm going to do the gold and leather, and then we're going to do 1 wash to tie them all together. Alright, so what I do next is I really just legitimately paint them to basic completion. Now right now they look like crap, but I still have to go through and highlight them. Once all that Reichland flesh shade dries, you can kind of touch any part with just basic rosy shadow, and that will basically tie in your flesh, and you can leave it a little bit darker. You get your natural highlights just on any of the white parts where you didn't get it with the flesh wash. You can just touch up with the rosy shadow. I do my metallics, the Retributor armor, and the lead belcher for the steel and everything. I base my Retributor armor with snakebite leather. I do my shafts with desert yellow and Xandri dust. The reds are a mixture of the ink and Mephiston, and wherever I mess up I take the Urathon gray, and then I'm going to be washing the entire model with soft tone. Once I'm done with the soft tone wash, I'll do touch up, and then the hoplites will receive their shields. I'll be painting their shields while I wait for their washes to dry. The shields themselves will be washed, and once they're done, they'll come together and they'll end up in the basing pile. And that's basically how I paint them. Or if I don't have any shields to paint, I take an individual and I do one of the individuals. But I'm going to be as you can see, these guys have gotten halfway there. I got to do a few more things like touch up with the skin and everything. I've done the snakebite leather on the bronze parts of their armor and everything. I also do hair. Hair is a mixture of anything. It can be bestial brown, Xandri dust, or I could just do scorch brown for the hair. Nobody's gonna really care, but they're gonna know what it is. And that's the basic way I paint these. When I'm done, they'll literally they'll look like this. Let's get one out with who's done. Let's see here. They'll look like that. They go together. Once you get the wash on them and you highlight the white armor again, they really tie together very well. They look really good that way and everything, and I couldn't be happier with them. But they do turn out a lot faster than the Victrix ones, because the Victrix ones have the fancy linen armor with the shoulder pads that I would like to be accentuated, because that looks really good. So that's the process. So this is the whole unit completed. I've been painting these guys for a while. There's been a time lapse in between when I actually made all those segments building up to this. So as you can see, the heads of the guys are just a little bit smaller. They are not a true 28mm heroic. I mean, they're a true 28mm, not a 28mm heroic scale like the oh, I gotta grab one first. Let me see here. Here we go. Like the gentleman here, and the bronze cuirass with the bronze overlay down towards his legs and everything. You can see his face a lot better than you can any one of theirs. However, I like the Warlord product. The spears, way flexible. The hands, really big. If I have to repair them with a metal javelin or something, I can easily cut both ends of the spear off, drill through the hand, and I've got a quick fix. Just paint that stuff the same color and I'm done. I'm out 15 minutes for the repair. Tops. Plus wash time. That's about it. So you don't have to prepare a bunch of, spears and everything. Good thing about these guys, the shields are a little bit bigger, so that hides most of them. Let's turn them to the side here. You get a look of what they really look like here and everything. Bronze cuirasses, no cuirasses, linen cuirasses. Some of them got long hair. The ones with the red, they're going to just represent Spartans inside of the ranks of the Corinthians here. This is the second Corinthian unit inside of the division. The division won't be done until I have the rest of my slingers show up and everything. So that's what they look like. I really highly recommend the Warlord kits. They're very easy to paint. You can paint them on the sprue. You can make good use of washes, and you can get a lot of these guys really quickly, and they look really good once they're all done. The only drawback is where I messed up on the model. Hold on here. Where I messed up on the model is right about here. I didn't use enough texture paint, and it shows. But from 3 feet away, let's get up here. From 3 feet away, they're going to look good. Nobody's going to notice, especially when I get their horde movement tray. And let's take a look at them next to their buddy. So from 3 feet away, you're not going to tell a huge amount of difference other than these guys just appear a bit more chunky. Again, the Victrix ones are a true scale 28mm, but both of my Corinthian units are done, as you can see here, and they look really good. The only difference is they are not my firstborn children of the Hoplites that I started. I started with 24 Spartans. We're going to get a look at those guys in a minute and everything, but as you can see, you got something that looks really good, whereas the angles are just slightly changed. As you can see, everybody's kind of shifting to the left in the Warlord unit, and I think that's a design, that's actually a design advantage, not a flaw, with the way these guys are sloping to my left. That's so they rank up easier. Whereas with these guys, you really do have to think about how you're going to pose them and everything, and just where the spears are going to go. I mean, once you have the magnets in the unit, but I've been doing fantasy for so long, I'm able to just compensate and make sure that all my shit's going to fit. And that's basically, so I've got 80 Hoplites here. Let's take a look at the Spartans, see what they look like, and I can't wait for my Warlord Slingers to show up. Right here we've got my Spartans and everything. That's right here on the right. You have, right here, this little guy right here, he's first generation. He's got his decal already. This is second generation. You can see the improvement there. I don't like, this is the actual Spartan heads that come with the kits here. They all look like a bunch of Amish hold on. As you can see, that another actual Spartan head right there. They look like a bunch of Amish Jebediah motherfuckers. And they look really inbred, like they're dwarfs or something. Here's another one right in the back there with a beard and everything. I don't like that depiction of them being scruffy and everything. Mostly because I know that a lot of them would be wearing a helmet very similar to this guy in the rear rank right there. Or this guy right here. They would, a lot of the actual Spartans themselves would have some of the best equipment. When you're talking about the Peloponnesian War, you're talking about a group of 8 to 10,000 dudes that would basically make up the Spartan core of the army. Sparta was one of the larger city-states, and it could actually put 50,000 warriors in the field, and you know, maybe 5,000 of them at that time frame would go out and they would be the Spartans, but they would have some of the best equipment. They would have the bronze cuirass, or they would have the good linen cuirass, but they would most certainly have some of the best helmets. This version of the Corinthian helmet and this version right here, they went away relatively quickly because these helmets are basically, you can't hear. And they would go to a version very similar to, let's see if I can find one of the guys right here. Very similar to this one right here. There would actually be an ear slot in that. It's not modeled on there, but they would go to versions that had ear slots and everything, and that's what they would look like. So let's just take a quick look. This regiment, or I mean this division of guys will actually be done when I have 17 done already. I have 17 in the next regiment done. They're just going to get another regiment that looks like this that stands next to them. And so that'll be 160 Hoplites total. And the Spartan division will be command base, 2 units of Hoplites, one of them the elite Spartans, and they're going to get their decals, and that's how, and they're going to have the brown spears, and that's how I'm going to tell all my Spartans apart. Brown spears, decals. As you can see, my firstborn are sporting a dwarf bronze. They're not sporting the Retributor. And then just one single little unit of Helot Batemen. Let me get these guys out. I already had these guys a long time ago. They were painted up along with my firstborn. It's just a group of Peltists. I have 16 total, but I won't need more than that for this game. I want to get some plastic Peltists because I do not like the little spindly spears, but this will be the whole division plus commanders, so I'm almost done. Can't wait till this project's actually done and we'll come up for a summation.
So I'm not gonna lie, I do like the Warlord Games kit. I've got to give this a little higher ranking than the Victrix kit. Victrix kit, you're gonna run into all kinds of snags. If you're not good at ranking up troops in a fantasy setting, you might want to avoid it and go for the Warlords, because the Warlords are all designed, as you can see, a lot of them have their spears up here like this, or some of them are holding them like this, and the shield of the hoplite is always to the front, or they've got their swords like this. They've given you the options that everybody kind of just leans to the left, and they're all looking kind of at an almost 45-degree angle on that left leaning way. So they're really easy to rank up. You'll get a lot of functional use out of a unit like that, because they kind of thought about who would be doing this for the first time. Maybe some 50-year-old guy or something like that. So they're easier to build and they're easier to rank up. The only thing they are not is true 28 is a 28 millimeter heroic. They are true 28. From 3 feet away, that's not going to matter. I'm going to use these guys. I'm going to get a lot of use out of them. I'm excited. So, and not to mention, another advantage you have is the sprue painting aspect of these guys. You can keep them on the sprue until you're done with them. Clip them off when you're done. I also recommend that the ones that get the metal shield, you get these two guys on a sprue by themselves. They're the ones who get the metal shield. For whatever reason, they give you metal shields. This is a weird design flaw. That's where I ding them. And you have to pin those. But it's easy to pin them, because all you have to do is drill into the arm, drill into a plastic body, pin them, and save yourself the trouble. Because if you drop them in any way, if you put them on the Pepsi cap and you push up on the Pepsi cap to get them off, the shields are going to fall off. So I ran into all kinds of those snags. So hopefully this helps you put together this kit, and you're a little wiser. Not to mention, because of the big hands on these guys, you can clip the spear off at both ends and put a metal one through it if you don't want to have the plastic. It won't be as exaggerated, it won't look as good, but you have something that won't break, and you have something that's easily repairable. So, love the Warlord kit. Probably going to do one more unit or something like that, but a lot of my commands are already Warlords, or they're Wargames Factory, so, you know, I am kind of married to the Victrix, because that's what, out of all the hoplites that I did own, I only decided to keep 24. The other ones I'm going to retcon for other projects, because what I'm doing here is I'm going to need a lot of hoplites, so they're going to be in different armies. Anyway, as you know, YouTube has many features you can use to interact with me. You can like the video, dislike the video, comment, or subscribe. But until I see you again, keep painting the Greeks. Check out Warlord's classic Greek phalanx. You won't be disappointed. And stay metal, my friends.
Even you, puppy dog. Hey, you need to grow a sack!